I need to hit start?
All right, welcome everybody to the HBCU Live. We're going to talk today seriously about some really important stuff. But before we get started, we want to get a little roll call going. Who here is, all right, we see HU in the house. HU, about some really important stuff. Uh-oh. All right. So let's talk about, all right, we see Hampton. We got VU. Is that Virginia Union, James? We got Bowie in the house.
That's right.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey, Bowie.
we got VSU. I love it in the house. Listens. Okay, we definitely got BSU in the house. Everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on through. We see you coming in. We see you still joining. We really want to hear. And if you went to HBCU, you're here today. I really want to know. Well, you went to that HBCU. What year did you come out?
Yeah.
We want to see if you from the real HBCU time. You know, what year did you come out? We got any 90s and 80s, baby?
Yeah.
All right.
2000s. All right, we got some 95. We got an 89 in here. Hey, 89. 2006. All right.
BSU.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome. We are so excited to be here with you today. We are a group of professionals in the financial services industry, and collectively here you probably see about 60 or 70 years of experience in helping with finances, and we're just so excited. For those who don't know me, if you're on Facebook Live with us, I'm Saran Baker. And today we have, I'm going to introduce our panelists. I'm going to be your hostess. I am a graduate of the Virginia State University, high above the Appomattox in Petersburg, Virginia, class of 1998. That's not my only degree, but that's my favorite one. Currently located in Maryland, and I am a financial services professional I'm on a team with some dynamic people. And today I have three of them with me, three people that I look up to in the industry as leaders and mentors and friends. And I'm excited to introduce them to you. I'm going to start with Miss Monique Bidelman from HU.
HU.
She is a financial services professional, and she has been in the industry for over 20 years. She's a well-known speaker to women's groups and churches, helping women with so many different things in their financial lives, and mostly just helping them realize the peace that they can have in their finances. She's a mom and she's a wife, and she's an awesome woman and church woman in the Maryland area. And that's just summing up everything. And of course, she went to HU and she's a graduate. Big thing is a passionate woman willing to help other women get out of their way financially. So welcome Monique to the panel today.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. And next I'm going to introduce my sister from Bowie, Bowie, Sharice. Amazing IT career, graduate from university, mom, wife. I hear her talk so much about creating generational wealth on her different channels and helping women. She's a well-known speaker, author, and she's been recognized in many, many, many magazines. And today she's here with us to really, again, we're going to wrap this whole conversation together and just really talk about something that we don't talk about. Let's just call it our dirty little financial secret, right? We're not talking about it, right? But we're going to talk about it today. So welcome, Sharice.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, my big brother, Mr. Anthony Stewart. I told him he missed his calling. He should have been a pastor, but we'll just call him a financial pastor today. He's out here helping our men in the community in so many ways. He's a servant leader. I see him, not just owning his business and doing his business and services, but I see him in the community. I could drive by a high school and he'd be standing outside in the corner waving people in to give out food baskets, and that's just the type of person that he is. But he's been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. He's owned several businesses related to finances. He's helped so many families with debt elimination, credit protection, generational wealth, you name it, right? And so that's why we brought this bunch together, right? And me, I'm the baby of the bunch. I've been in the industry about 2 years or so, and I'm very excited about doing a lot of the things that they do as well. And I am doing it with so many different people and helping so many other women like me. So today we really, really, really are excited to be here, and we are just excited for you to also share this information, because as we get into the meat of this, somebody who needs this information. Somebody who's graduated from an HBCU or any college, right? We're focused on HBCUs or any family that's going to college. We're in a place now where we're blessed to have more than one generation having gone to college. Mom and dad have gone. Now the kids are going. Now we're preparing for the grandkids. But what we're not talking about is mom and dad still has student loans, and now the kids have student loans. And if we don't do something now, the grandkids are going to still have student loans. So that's what we're doing. So get excited, get your pen and your paper, because we're going to drop some diamonds on you. If you're on any of our faces, just feel free to share it, post it publicly, because we really want this information to be widespread. So with that, we're going to jump into it a little bit. We shouted out all our schools. I saw, everybody, you can keep, those of you on the Zoom, you could keep, pumping up your school in the chat. We love to see that. And we're going to start here. We're going to want to really talk to you about why did we even start this initiative? Why are we even here? Mr. Stewart, you want to help us? Talk to us about the vision.
Oh, thank you, Saran. And it has been a pleasure working with you. You are really passionate about this. But let me tell you why it was started. Actually, that's how I got involved in the industry. I had a student loan debt, and it wasn't like the numbers that we see today, but it seemed like it was astronomical to me. I didn't really see a way out. And it actually was a fraternity brother of mine said, you should get involved in financial services. And I said, I don't know anything about this. He said, that's why you need to get in. So I thought about that as one day I was riding past Bowie State and I said, what can we do? But not only that, we want to be a company that not just does business in our communities, but also give back. And this is one of the ways we can give back. Also look at this as a way that we can bridge that wealth gap that's in our communities by making sure that our young people can get off to a better start than what we did. And they can't do it with the debt. So that's where it all begins. That's why it was started. I said, we just can't talk about the problem. We got to provide solutions to it. And that's what we've been doing. So that's why we are here today.
That to me speaks to your heart of service. And we're really, really excited to be here too, to help in this initiative. So, I mean, the even deeper question is, but why the focus just on HBCUs? Why, just HBCU? We're not leaving out those who did not go to HBCU. We still love you. You still go to homecoming with us and we like it.
Well, that is a good question, Saran, and you said it. We're not just focusing on HBCUs, but it was important for us to start where we came from first. Mm-hmm. We wanted to go back home first. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're focusing on HBCU. There's a greater need there. There's a greater opportunity there. But as an old country saying, you know I'm country. I got to tell you I'm country. There's an old country saying that says you can't sweep off the dirt on somebody else's doorstep until you get yours cleaned up first. So that's why we want to start with our HBCUs. And that's why we're doing this. We're looking for people that can help us, help our students and parents get out of the student loan debt. So that's why we're just going back home first. That's really what it boils down to. So that's why we're starting here.
So essentially, even if you didn't go to the HBCU and you're watching any of us on Facebook Live or you're on the Zoom, we still can help you, because if you still have that dirty little money secret that we talked about, and it's just us, it's just us talking. So nobody has to know, but mm-hmm. we can help you too. And that's really what it is it really is a flag we're putting out to say, we're here to help. So, and think about it like this. So let's say the student loan debt has been around for a while. So why now for the initiative? Why now?
I'm going to hop in here, Saran, but I always say, why not now? Mm-hmm. Right? Why not now? If not now, then when? Right? The cost of a college education continues to increase, right? And the value of that college education still continues to increase as well. Mm-hmm. So, I went to Howard about 25 years ago. Listen, y'all, I'm telling my age. But I think my parents paid about $20,000 a year. So mm-hmm. obviously it has more than doubled over the years. So costs are continuing to go up, but salaries upon graduation are not necessarily increasing, right? In all instances. So our community, I believe, is really understanding more and more the importance of a higher education and how it really directly relates to a prosperous career and financial security as well. So a college education to most of us is a must. It's not a negotiable, right? It's important. So however, the problem, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation, is in many circumstances, we just do not have the financial support in our communities, which then contributes to this student loan crisis that we're in. So it's just now time to take action. It really is.
Yeah. And what that sounds like, I'm not that many years behind you, probably 20 years or so out. And one of the things that was interesting, because you would go to campus, right? And this was pre-technology. And you have to wait in these long lines, and you have to figure out if you can get validated, and you stood in line, and you literally would go into the office and cry to get another loan so you can stay in school, right? And not really knowing what you're signing up. Yeah, they give you the papers to read. Yeah, they tell you all the great things this you're gonna have to do when you get out of school, and it's only gonna take you 10 years to pay them off. that wasn't true. But, we don't know, because at that point, at 18, 19, 20, we're getting our lives started, and we're really just trying to get in to this new world, right? And for my generation, we're trying to get on campus with Whitley and them, because I'm a Hillman kid, I grew up on that, so I was waiting to get on campus to find my Hillman friends, so to speak, at my HBCU.
That's right.
But it just, the dollars didn't compute afterwards, after you got all those loans and had all that fun and all that. But now we're doing something about it.
That's right.
And so even in thinking about that, if we took like a compilation of, student loan debt, I mean, how much do you think the actual student loan debt is compiled, or just some aggregate amount? How much is it?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Saran. It lots of great feedback so far, and insight provided, but that student loan number is staggering, right? It's $1.7 trillion.
Wow.
Right. And so then when you think about our HBCU students, including us, right?
Right.
It's a burden, right? It's a huge burden, and the reliance on student loans, it's a necessity, right? Because, Monique mentioned the fact that young people need that degree in order to pursue a, profitable, lucrative career, right? So we need it. So the student loan, it's a necessary evil, right? But it's necessary, right? But like you kind of alluded to, coming out of college, right, with that type of burden, right, with that financial burden, can set us back, right as we're starting our life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm so excited to have this conversation, right, so that we can highlight real solutions for young people who say, I need the student loans. I was that girl. Like, I needed student loans, right? So we know, we're not saying don't do it if you need to do it, right? Because we recognize the importance of the higher education, right? But now let's talk about how you can begin to eliminate that debt sooner than you thought was possible. And even for our young parents that's on this line right now, let's have real conversations about how you can plan, right? Because I firmly believe that, my parents did the best they could with what they had, right? They really did. But it's upon us to get educated, to, get this information so that for our young people, we want to, provide them with a solid education. Let's start planning ahead with some effective financial strategies.
Yeah. And then, as you were talking, something popped in my head, and it's the reverse of actually what we do in our business, right? We work with people to do generational wealth strategies. But if we don't catch this student loan crisis, it's going to really end up being generational debt. Because I'll use me as an example so if I came out of school 20 years ago and say now my son or daughter is ready to go to school, but when I look back, I still have school loans. And oh, by the way, now I have to find a way to help finance my child's education. And maybe they'll give me another loan or maybe they won't, because I still have my own. Well, then now my child has to go into debt to get to get into school, because it's a necessity. And now essentially we're just snowballing that debt and just adding it up. And if we added up just the student loan debt in one household, if there was a college age kid, the numbers probably will be staggering, right? And so with that, and so really thinking about it, like the average amount of student loan debt for an HBCU student is like what? Because you're my numbers girl, Sharice. What agree with you?
It's over $26,000, right? It's over $26,000, right? But that's just getting started, right? But you compare that to our non-HBCU students, it's about half of that, right? Just over $14,000, right? Okay. So again, it puts our students, behind the eight ball. So
right.
When they're graduating from college, whether it's the student with the debt or it's the parent with the parent plus loans, right?
Mhm.
With multiple kids. I had a conversation with a parent who had almost $300,000 in parent plus loans. So we want to do the right thing, right? But how can we do it effectively, right? How can we, start to eliminate that debt faster than,
Yes.
again, like than we thought was possible? Because think about it. When I graduated from Bowie State in 1993, Monique, you thought you was aging yourself. I'm aging myself.
She's just giving out years and stuff.
All y'all still babies. All y'all still babies.
1993, right? Talking about
Give out
the numbers.
years.
And I was having this conversation with my son earlier. So think about it like this. I graduated with about $8,000 of student loan debt from Bowie State University. And today the cost of a year at Bowie State is $8,000. Right, so that's significant. Think about Monique, the cost of an HU degree, a Howard University degree, 25 years ago was $20,000 a year. Today, it's over $45,000 a year, right? So in 2 decades, look at how that number has increased, right? And so if we don't get a hold of it today, right, what's going to happen for that next generation of young leaders that's coming up, and they don't have a real plan, right? What's going to happen for them? My son, he's 19. He's a sophomore at Morehouse College. $48,000 a year. Now hear that. $48,000 a year. I'm like, you know what? This pandemic has been a blessing. Homeboy has been home for 3 whole semesters. Okay, it's a fraction of what it costs. I'm like, can we get a Morehouse degree for a fraction of what it costs? I can do this. So
right.
I mean, for the people that's listening, think about it. These numbers are increasing significantly over the years. So think about our children's children, right? If we don't get a handle on it, if we don't start learning effective strategies and planning now, it's going to get out of control.
And you know what, Sharice, in full disclosure, I was an out-of-state student at Virginia State University. So my tuition was twice that of the students who were in state. And I probably had quadruple the debt you had when you graduated, just because everything was much more expensive because I traveled from New York to go to Virginia State. That's the best decision of my life, but I had a bigger amount to tackle post-college. And then just an aside, there's a parent in the chat agreeing with you. She's saying that she has a parent plus loan and that it was compounding daily. Compounding daily. And so it really speaks to the necessity for just having this conversation today, just because of the amount of debt that is really just kind of being out here. So one of the things is, so again, we talked about why we're doing it. We talked about why now it's important. And I think the thing to talk about is like, why is the debt so crippling? I mean, those of you who are on the Zoom, let us know in the chat, tell us a little bit about, in the chat about how the debt is impacting you. Only the panelists can see it. But Monique, talk to us a little bit about the importance of getting rid of the debt.
Wow. Well, it makes me nauseous, to be honest, just thinking about it. And you heard Sharice just note, how much student loan debt we're in as a country, right? That's first off. But as well as the average student loan debt, HBCUs versus non-HBCUs. So it's evident, right, that it's our communities, especially, that are being hit the hardest. And a lot of times it's because, and this is my opinion, but I truly believe it's because we're not always privy to the important financial information that is out there. We're not always up to date on the best financial solutions that are out there. And then what that happens is that the debt we have, right, it then snowballs into other things, right? So now we can't save for our future. We can't save for retirement. We can't purchase a home. We can't afford to leave a legacy, right? We can't afford to send our children to college on our own dime, right? So in most instances, we are not able to do these things because of debt. We got bills. We
That's before credit card bills. We just talking about student loans. We ain't talking about mortgage, credit card, furniture, payday loans, all the craziness that we borrow money for. We just talking about one portion of the debt.
We absolutely are. So that is really what stagnates us for being able to do the things, to do more, right? To want to do more, to work on that intergenerational wealth. If we had less debt, simply, we would be able to do more because we have more money freed up. So now, because of the stresses, think about this, because of the stresses of our finances, right? It is not now only a financial issue, but now it becomes also a medical and an emotional issue.
Yes.
Because just think about you all that have, and those of us that have that burden of debt, right? What type of health issues are we experiencing? We're experiencing stress. We're experiencing depression in a lot of situations, anxiety, weight gain, weight loss, can't concentrate, strained relationships, insomnia. You know, divorces are happening because of these financial situations, high blood pressure, heart disease. I could go on and on and on. So it now has become not only a financial crisis, but it's now not a medical crisis and an emotional crisis as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a big thing, you know, when you start talking about, and I like how you coupled in the health. And a lot of and we already, in the African American community or the melanated community, we already have some predispositions to some other health issues. And so that when you layer that with stress, that's a whole different health cocktail, if you will, for things to happen. And that's why I said our dirty little financial secret earlier, because, you know, we're not talking about it. Who's walking around want to raise a hand and say, I still have school loans and I graduated 25 years ago, you know, or I graduated 20 years ago, or I graduated 10 years ago and I still have school loans, right? And maybe you're doing well. Maybe you got the Mercedes in the house that you wanted, and you got married, and you were still able to do those things, but you still got student loan debt. And it's not going to go away. And then soon, next thing you know, you look up, you be ready to retire. But guess what? You still got a ballooned student loan payment that's going to impact your retirement. Yeah. So it's just a hamster wheel. And so we're having this conversation today to air this because, you know, for all of you, we really want you to start planning and think about the professionals here. There's 4 professionals here. Somebody invited you here. You know, talk to them because they have ways and strategies to really help you to try to get ahead of it, or at least get in the game and, you know, try to solve it. You can't even get to halftime if you don't start the game, you know? So, I mean, and then so for parents, I got one parent in here in the chat. She's, you know, saying that she still has a significant amount of student loan debt and her son's going to college next year, right? And we got another parent saying she wished she had saved more for her kids for college. And that leads me to want to know, you know, what are some actions that parents who maybe they don't have the student loan debt, but they still have a little left, and they're trying to figure out how to strategize for their kids and their students, and or how can parents help their young adults strategize to get their debt paid off? You know, what are some high level what kind of strategies should we be looking at as parents to help our young people, our young adults get this tackled?
You know, that's a great question. And I've been really thinking about that question. And it really is a loaded question, right? Yeah, because there's so many different scenarios when it comes to, you know, planning and all that good stuff for your kids to go to college. But I want to kind of look at first, you know, how can we first try to get in front of the debt, right? The whole pre-planning process, right? So if we can take a look at kind of the college timeline, there are a couple things that students and parents can do to be proactive, right? For kids that are not specifically in college just yet. And it really starts, you guys, with early planning. It really does. Sit down with an expert, sit down with one of us, and let's come up with the best strategy. You know, a lot of times we just wait, right? Because we just don't know how to plan for it. We just wait. And that's really not the answer. There are different ways of funding your education, of college education. And a lot of times we turn to 529 plans, because that's just what we know, right? Or we try to save on our own. But there are truly some non-traditional methods that should also be explored as well that really work well.
Yeah.
But the key with this, with the pre-planning piece, is let's not wait until they're juniors and seniors in high school. Hello.
Say it again. Say it again.
Let's not wait until they are juniors and seniors in high school to start planning for college. Let's start planning when they're babies.
Yeah.
Or before they were born.
Yeah, before they're born.
You got married, you pregnant, let's start planning for college.
Let's start planning now, right? So that's very
Yep.
important in regards to pre-planning. Secondly, listen, you all, for those of you all that are looking for your kids to go to college in a couple of years, apply for as many scholarships and grants as you can.
Yes.
Okay? There are so many scholarships that are out there that we're not taking advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it takes some research, right? It's
Yep.
time consuming, right?
It is.
But they're there.
Yes.
Look into your
Even
state
if
scholarship.
you don't have high grades. Even if you don't have high grades,
How about that?
you gotta dig a little bit. You gotta dig a little bit.
You got to dig a little bit, even if you do not have high grades. Listen, you all, there's something out there for you. Trust
Yes.
me, right? Look into your state scholarships. Call up your senatorial office. If you belong to a church, churches have scholarships. If your parents are a part of a fraternity or sorority, right, they have scholarships, private scholarships through foundations and organizations. You know, there are so many out there, scholarships that are not necessarily based on need. I know y'all, a lot of y'all gonna say, oh, I make too much money to get a scholarship. Absolutely not.
Mhm.
There are scholarships that are based on merit. There are scholarships that are based on a certain areas of study, right? We have to put in the work, find it and apply it. That's what I like to do. Find it and apply,
Yes.
right?
Find and apply.
Find and apply.
Right.
Find and apply. Find and apply.
Apply. They're out there. I'm telling you all, my daughter is a first year at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Her entire first year education was paid due to scholarships.
Yes.
Okay.
That's amazing.
They're out there.
Yeah, so we have to take the time to research them. Contact us. We have resources available to find scholarships. Okay, but
Mhm.
thirdly, let's talk about those students, Saran, that's just getting out of college or close to graduating, right?
Uh-huh.
Hello, prioritize your spending. Don't we talk about this a lot?
Listen, they coming out, they trying to get them a new ride. What should they
Not
be doing
yet.
when they come out of
Not
school?
yet.
Tell them, girl.
I'm trying to tell you all, that was me.
So you saying they can't get so Monique, what you're saying is they can't get the new car coming out of
Wait,
college?
wait.
You got to drive that hoopty a little bit longer.
They got
No,
drive
I want a new car. This is a
I wanted
hoopty.
my new whip. We called it a whip back in 25 years ago, right? I know they don't call it whips now, but I wanted my whip. That's not right.
Okay.
That's not right, right? Buy the house before the car, you guys. And I love this initiative. The National Association of Realtors came up with this initiative. The house before the car. So listen about it, and it makes perfect sense. A house is an investment, right?
Mhm.
Well, what's a car? A car is a quickly depreciating asset. As soon as you
Indeed.
drive that bad boy off the lot, it is depreciating.
Mhm.
So what we don't understand is by purchasing an expensive car first, you're actually unintentionally disqualifying yourself from being able to purchase a home. That's what's happening.
That's good info.
Right? Because of that DTI, debt to income
Income.
ratio.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we've got to educate our children and lead them on the right path. Upon graduating and getting into the workforce, we want to make sure that we're having solid income and good credit. We
Mm.
want that FICO score to be high. Good
So
credit.
keep the hoopty.
That's right.
Put some money on the instead of asking your parents to help you buy a new car, ask them to help you buy maybe your first condo or your townhouse or something to that effect.
There you
And
go.
then consider flipping to a car or something like that.
That's it.
Okay, I love it.
That's it. Right? Resist that urge to splurge.
But you know what, Monique? I have to jump in because that's so important, right? Because I think that, you know, a lot of times that's modeled.
Yeah.
Right? So I think us as parents, right, we have to do a better job, right,
Good point.
to, you know, model short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. Because if our children saw us buying, you know, the latest and greatest, then naturally that's what they're going to want to do.
That's it.
Yeah, that's important. And I wanted to also comment on something else you said at the beginning, and that is, you know, be for us parents and for the parents that's listening to be open to non-traditional methods.
That's right.
For saving for college, because like you said, we only know about 529. And I tell people that I talk to one-on-one that I am here today because of non-traditional information I received 10 years ago. And there was some doubt, skepticism, because I didn't know, right? Because anything that you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm so grateful that I was open to get the information and to take action, because one thing I said was, you know, just because I don't know about it, and for those listening, just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that it's not valid and that it's not working for a lot of people.
That's right.
I love that point. I love that. And here's what popped up for me when you said that. And you all know I've been doing a lot of webinars this month, Financial Literacy Month, just kind of talking to, you know, a lot of women mostly about different parts of finances. But you know what I found in having one-on-one conversations with some of them afterwards is that we know how to spend money.
Yes,
we don't know how to save, invest, redirect, compound, make it compound interest, and make it grow. We know how to get it and spend it. We don't know how to get it and make it work 4, 5, 6 times for us. So we'll get, and I'll just use a round number because I like round number. If we get $100,000 windfall, you know, we're gonna put that on everybody on the webinar today. One day you're gonna get $100,000 windfall. But when you get it, we want you to know how to use it appropriately and not spend it.
That's it.
Not just spend it, use it to your benefit and leverage it as you move forward. And someone said in the chat, I think it's important to pull this out, you know, and the hoopty before the house before the hoopty.
Yeah.
She says, use that house or condo that you had to rent out a room or two and then buy the car. So it's a non-traditional way to do the same thing. So I think it's important. And again, hopefully, you know, this is resonating with many of you in the conversation that we're having. We have a couple more things we're going to talk about. Anything else that our parents should be doing, Monique?
Yeah, you know, and I'm so glad the last comment that you had said that, because, you know, and just to kind of add to that, you know, pricing materials that don't hold their value, we've got to get that into our children's heads. Really, you know, and it really is about educating them, you know, but as they get older and as we let them fly, right? Let's talk a little bit about, and I think this is important for those that have graduated, right? And for those that now have student loans, right? There's nothing else, there's nothing we can do. We have them.
Yep.
Right? We have them. What can we do right now? Right? So let's tackle them, you guys. We gotta tackle them head on, and let's stop deferring the inevitable.
Deferment.
Should I say that again?
Forbearance. Can I get another forbearance, please?
that was me, Monique. You know, back then they didn't have. Well, I'm telling my age since y'all told your age now. Back then, when I was dealing with that stuff, we didn't have caller ID.
Right.
So I used to have to answer the phone and disguise my voice. I used to always say I was my brother Alan when they called for me.
You always getting Alan in trouble for something.
That is so funny. But you know, it's so funny to me because we're just gonna keep forbearance. And I know the Biden administration is talking about possibly forgiving loans. Y'all keep holding your breath for that. Okay? Keep holding your breath for that. I love Biden. Okay? Keep holding your breath for that. Let's tackle this thing head on. And let's not be paying these loans now for 20 or 30 years. Right? We have to empower ourselves financially and not be a slave to the lender, because that's what we're doing. When we owe
Mm.
debt, we are now slaves to the lender, right? So the key to getting out of debt, and I'm gonna put this and I'm gonna put this to rest. The key to getting out of debt is about reducing the interest that you are paying on the debt, right? And looking at redirecting monies that are already going out more effectively. That's how you get rid of debt. So get information about our student loan debt elimination system, okay? Let us help you.
Yeah.
We show you a step-by-step process, right? That will guide you on how to eliminate all debt, including college debt, in a significantly shorter time compared to traditional methods. So, you know, I'm excited about this conversation. These are just some things that we can do pre-planning as well as post-graduation.
Yeah, I love it. And in doing that, I see one person said they don't know how to do it. And that's why we're here today, right? We're here because we are, we're superheroes revealing ourselves to the community to say we're here to help. And the people who invited you, whether you got a personal invitation from one of the four of us, or if you got it through an organization that maybe we shared it with, or if you got it from a friend, because we have a team of people. It's not just us four, right? There's probably 50 of us or so in the local area. And even if you're watching this from outside of the Maryland, DC area, Maryland, DC, Virginia area, we can help you in other states too. It doesn't matter where you live for the most part. There's probably only one or two we got to do something special just because of laws. But the thing is that we can help you if you tell us you need help. Stop keeping a dirty little secret about your finances. And that really is the big thing. So let's talk about some other opportunities for graduates that they could take advantage of with the student loan elimination. Sharice, I'm going to ask you to do that. And you mentioned your son, Stanley, the Morehouse grad. I hope he gives us a little cameo today.
I know. Let me tell you, he's planning on coming down. I just texted him again to come on down because number one, he is studying for exams, which are this week and next week. And he had a second COVID shot. So he's like, feeling weird. So yeah, he's gonna come in hopefully. But let me just say this, the opportunities that we have are a couple of them, right? First of all, a lot was mentioned here today, like us as parents being open to, some non-traditional ways to fund our children's education. Even non-traditional ways for us parents that still have student loans, right? To eliminate those debts ourselves, right? And then I think it's a huge opportunity for us as parents to become as financially literate as we can possibly be, right? So we can pass that information on to our children, right? Because our children, they watch us, they model what we do. And I'm speaking from experience because when I think about my own son, again, 19, a sophomore in college, right? He, witnessed us make a lot of sacrifice. He, went through those seasons where, just because the latest tennis shoes came out didn't mean that he had to get it, right? Just because he knew we were making money didn't mean that we had to be spending the money. And initially he didn't understand it, right? But it was our job to have the conversations, right? And so I'm encouraging you parents to do better so that you can do better for your children and then they can do better. Let's have these conversations with them about money, right? I remember my husband taking our 19-year-old now, but he was about 9 years old, to a financial educational seminar. Right? Those are seeds that was planted, right? And so again, he may not have understood the full scope of it, but he understood, that money matters and what we do with our money, it matters too. So the other thing is that we did have honest conversations with him about credit, about debt, about saving, about investing, right? We showed him our credit report. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, guys, is because we think, I know for me and my generation growing up, certain topics were taboo for children.
Oh, yes.
They were adult-only conversations. And so that lends itself to a lot of the financial ignorance that we have, right? We know what we know. Again, our parents did the best that they could, right? And so we have to make sure we have these conversations with our children. so that they can take a different path, so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that we made. And so now here we are, fast forward, my son, he is, initially going into college, he was that person that Monique was talking about, right? He was like, when I graduate from college, I'm moving out. You don't have to worry about me. And I would just sit back like, you really want to be grown. Like, it costs a lot of money to be grown. Like, but okay, you want to go out there and spend all your money when you don't have to. Right. But I'm gonna tell you guys, this is why it's so important to plant those seeds, because it was just over the last year that he was like, you know what? This is the other side of it, right? He's like, I think I'm gonna be home until at least, 30. Like, I'm gonna take over the basement. And I'm like, whoa, like I said, you don't have to rush to get your own place after college, but you want to be home until you're 30, like a whole 8. What? But anyway, I want him to come home and to save. Mm-hmm. So he gets it. He's like, I'm gonna drive my car. He has a Toyota Prius that was gifted to him from us. He's like, I'm gonna drive that car well into my 20s because I don't see the need. Like, he's like, it feels good now to have money saved versus just buying a whole bunch of stuff. And that comes from the years of education. That's right. But the opportunity now for him is that he does what we do. Mm-hmm. Right? He does what we do. Guys, there is opportunities for our young people to get into financial services so that they can, number one, get the information themselves, but then be a voice for the next generation. Yes. That's huge. He's like, whoa, like my friends wasn't blessed to get some of this teaching, some of this exposure that I have. And so I want to be that voice for the Gen X, right? Even for the millennials who don't get this information. So for those of you parents and even young people, look into a career in financial services. Like, he's doing what we're doing in addition to pursuing his degree in software engineering. Because let's be real. Many of our young people, they don't want to work a job. Like, they don't see themselves working a job for 30, 40 years. They don't see it. They want to create jobs. They're going to college to create jobs, right? And so they want to start businesses. This is a great business to start. Yes. And you can do it in addition to, so the opportunities to become a voice for the next generation in our financial services industry is open. It's wide open. It's available. And the training is, there. Mr. Stewart is a perfect example of someone who's been in way longer than us. Yep. Get to train us to have these conversations. So let's expose our kids to these opportunities.
And I love that tie into, not just about us helping you, but the career path that's available, the business career path. And, I noticed, and I don't know if it's just maybe my Facebook, but in my social media, all of a sudden, everybody's talking about generational wealth. Everybody's talking about a path to this and to that, right? And I tell a lot of my clients and panelists, they all work. The question is, will you work? And the idea is that in this is not just put together family generational wealth. That's important. Put together community generational wealth, because we should be passing assets into our community, into our churches and our nonprofits and our HBCUs, right? A lot of us can't contribute to our HBCUs because we still paying school loans, right? So imagine if instead of paying a school loan, you were paying into an endowment at your university. That's a whole different level of generation, right? And then the career, the generation of creating a career that could be passed down in your family that is a business and a career, and is teaching the community to grow and allowing it to expand, right? We have a lot to overcome in our melanated communities. And the more we talk about it and not keep it a secret and figure out how we can come together and agree on whatever the platform, or on a platform, right? And I have people ask me all the time, should I do real estate? Should I do this? Should I do that? What are you passionate about? That's what you should do, right? If you want me to show you how to get money to do what that passion is, that's a different story, because I can do that, right? That's what I'm passionate about. And the thing is to really just understand that all these things, they all work together. They're not mutually exclusive. right? And that generational education where you're saying that Stanley is going to school and building a business, that right there speaks to what our next generation is built on, because they don't understand. I had the same conversation with my daughter. We had a whole battle. She never finished school. I paid cash for it because I was one of those good parents. I had the money. I paid cash for that year at UMES. She came, I don't want to do it. I said, what? And you know what she did? She came home. She started 3 businesses. She moved into her own house last week. I said, look, I'm not paying for any of it. I can support you. You can stay home. But now she moved into her own place, 4 weeks ago. I can't get her to come by to visit now. you know? But the thing is that she had to, and she did it all her own. She said, don't give me any money. I don't want you to do anything for me. She finally said, okay, you can buy me something for the house. So I bought her something for the house. But she's like, I want to do it on my own. And that is, our kids want to build something of their own. I see Stanley joined us. So yes, I want to hear from you, Stanley, the man from Morehouse, the business owner and the student.
How's everyone doing tonight?
We are good.
Good.
Good to see everyone. My name is Stanley Richards. I'm a sophomore software engineering major at Morehouse College, and I'm an insurance agent as well. And I love the opportunity that I have to protect families as well as build a business as well. So this summer I'm ready to take it full force with building my business as well as exposing the opportunity to my peers.
I love it. I love it. And you're Morehouse by way of Maryland right now, right?
Next time. Right now, but hopefully we'll be back on campus next semester.
But keep ready.
I know he is. It's nothing like being on campus, on the yard. Sure. Nothing like being on the yard.
Say that again. It's nothing like being on campus.
Nothing like being on the yard. Nothing. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I talked you up. I said, I wonder if Stanley's going to join us. So, but this has been a very exciting conversation, and we really want to just, talk a little bit about, and maybe Stanley, you can help us. So, what are you thinking about you're going to do when you graduate?
When I graduate, I look to. I'm really in between because really, I'm really passionate about insurance. Because I feel like that's something we really need especially in our community. But I'm in school right now for software engineering, so. It's really a toss-up right now. I'm not really, I really don't have a full decision yet, but I just know it's between those two, probably with the software engineering or my insurance business. But, insurance is something I'm extremely passionate about.
Well, you can do both.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can do both. Oh, we love hearing from you today. Great. So we're gonna wrap up because we're at the top of the hour, and I see there's some comments in the chat. We are gonna send a follow-up message out, or reach back to the person that invited you. But we're gonna wrap up a little bit, and so you got a good plan, Stanley. And so I want to kind of hear, what's the industry saying? What do most students do, on average that come home from school? I'm going to throw this to you, Mr. Stewart. You've been kind of quiet today, which is not like you.
It's a women's thing. But, studies show that 30% of the people move back home. Right. And, that used to be, I want to get my own, but, it's not a bad thing if you move back home.
Right.
I wish I had a chance to move back home after graduation, but I couldn't because my parents were 2.5 hours away and I'm in the DMV. But if you move back home, that's not a bad thing. You just have to have a plan.
Right.
Save your money. So as Monique said earlier, when you move out, you can buy something. Or start the plan to start paying off your student loan debt by creating your own private banking system. Right. So moving back home is not a bad thing. And it also said another 40% delayed getting married because of student loan debt.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with that either. Ain't no need of both people coming together with student loan debt. Now we got $200,000 worth of debt as soon as you say I do. So it's not a bad thing. It's probably better to wait to get married rather than bringing that debt into someone else's life. You got to get control of it. But probably the one that disturbs me the most is that 70% of the people delay planning for retirement because of student loan debt. Mm-hmm. And that's the scary thing. You can get You can get student loans for college. You can get financial aid. You can do all kinds of things, but there is no financial aid for retirement.
None.
You have to do it, but you can't do it if you're dealing with all this debt. So that's why we're here today, and making sure that we can really start working in our communities. And that's where all of us on this line comes in. We got to get to these college campuses. We have to talk about this, not just tonight, but we have to continue to talk about it so that we can make the transition a lot smoother. The other thing I read in the paper a couple of weeks ago, one of the issues is this: in the African American community, we have to reposition our assets. In other words, a lot of our assets are hung up in the home ownership, where the other folks, they have more liquid cash so that they can send their kids to school. So we got to get more liquid with our cash so that we can help our sons and daughters get out of college. So, and it's not difficult, y'all. It's really not. If you don't get anything else from this call today, it's time to take action now. You know what I mean? I mean, you've heard a lot of good stuff, but good information doesn't wipe away the debt. Only a plan in place does. You know what I mean? So there's a guy by the name of Delator McNeil. He's like a motivational speaker, performance coach. I love this quote. And here's what he says. He says, information without application is going to keep us in frustration, right? But information with their proper application is going to give you that transformation to get you closer to your destination. So we got to take action now. You've heard it from the experts. Get back with the people that invited you. We could sit down with everybody and say, this is your debt, this is the interest rate, and put together a plan to cut that debt in half. In some cases, I mean, a couple of years to be out of debt. This is real stuff. We've seen it done. And we could tell you stories and stories and stories that people that have taken advantage of this. And then in closing, about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a client of mine that did not have the money. They couldn't find the financial aid for their daughter to finish at Morgan State. And she was about, I don't know, about $16,000-$17,000 short, and they just couldn't find the money. They were about to go apply for a loan at Bank of America. And I had a reminder. I said, go back to what we did 20 years ago, the non-traditional way. She said, what do you mean? I said, you have $37,000 in this non-traditional account we set up for you. Go and take it and pay for college. Don't take out a loan for that. That was the first time in a long time that I had somebody literally cry on the phone. I always started crying. I was trying to be cool. You know what I'm saying? But that's the power in this stuff. You know what I mean? So that's all I got, y'all. It's been nice being on the call with these sharp folks today. Good to see you, little Stan. And Saran, I'll just turn it back over to you.
Well, listen, we got a lot of great nuggets today, right? So get back with the person who invited you. You got Mr. Stewart here. You got me. So it's shared on my page. So if you got it on my page, you can inbox me. You got Sharice. Sharice shared it on her page. You can contact her. Monique, she had a couple people share for her. You know, get back to somebody to talk about it, because the number one challenge that we really have, we make money. We got these good jobs at the government and contracting and corporations and all that in the DMV. Prince George's County is the wealthiest county, African-American county, in the United States. We still got debt. We still got the dirty little secret. Let's put a plan together to eliminate that and make it real dollars. The one thing that Mr. Stewart said, and especially for the parents, I want you to hear this. We delay planning for retirement because of this debt. That is stressful in and of itself. We have other things to consider. When you're in your 70s and 80s and 90s retired, you don't want to be scrimping and trying to just get by on $10,000 a year, $20,000 a year because of this debt. So you got to take action now. This is not something that you want to wait. And the other thing is, I don't know about you, but I don't like missing out on something that's going to make me better. And it's going to put a few more ducats in my pocket, as my dad would say. That's his generation. Don't miss out. Have the conversation, It don't cost anything to have a conversation to see if you even qualify. That is the big thing. Find that out. I mean, if we were live in person, you probably be walking us to our car, closing our car door because you want to get more info from us, because we're here to help. We're here to ask you the questions and get the information out of you and get you on a plan that really is going to empower not just you, but your children, your children's children, and your children's children's children, because we are catching up. We are catching up, and we're just happy to be a part of the team that's here to provide that info to you. So we're gonna wrap it up. This is it for us. We had a good time. There were a couple small questions there was only 4 questions, but they were more like comments that probably should have been in the chat. And those of you in the chat, it's been great. Shout your school out. Get back on it before we get back on the yard, but take action. That the worst thing you could do after participating in the live with us, and we're the cool kids, by the way. You reach out to us. You're gonna reach out to the cool kids so we can help you be a cool kid too. Is to not do anything because you think that, oh, I made this mistake or that mistake or this mistake or that mistake with my money. So start now.
Right.
Start where you are. Start where you are. So it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Shereen.
Thank you.
All right.
We are having fun.
Hey, boo.
Hey, you.
B-S-U.
know.
I love it. B-S-U. I love it.
Bye.
All right, we're out.
All right. Talk soon.